guys, welcome to part 3. I think it's part 3? Yeah, it's part 3 of the SID special tune, whatever it is. Now, I think it's suffice to say that these have gone down rather well with people. What do you think? What do you think appeals to people about these things? Apart from obviously being 3 good-looking buggers, you know. I mean, apart from that, the eye candy for all the ladies, but.
Apart from that,
yeah.
Well, that's me far. No. I'm stumped then. That was the only thing I could come up with.
It's just good music, isn't it? It's good music. It's nostalgic. Some of the ones I play are relatively new, but it's nostalgia. It's even if it is newer tunes, it's still the vibe of your childhood. You know, growing up listening to the loading music. You know, like in Lukozer's case, buying a game just because it had a Martin Galway soundtrack and stuff like that. And I think that appeals to people. Not the troll we had, obviously, but everybody else. I mean, we've had good comments from Jarentel. Thomas de Turt's had a comment. I know he didn't comment on the stream, but Jason Page sent me a message saying that we were spot on and he enjoyed it and that. So if you got game composers enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, some of the comments have just been absolutely wonderful. People really enjoy it. And I think a big part of it as well is I think we all get on well, and there's a bit of banter going on as well, and that's what it makes for kind of an enjoyable stream. Because I mean, there's nothing worse, I think, watching a YouTube channel apart from somebody saying, "Can you subscribe below?" to when they first start. Is some channels are just very, very sterile and matter of fact, whereas we just talk shite, you know what I mean? And I think that's what some people seem to enjoy.
I've always said I'm fluent in English, American, Australian, and bollocks.
Bollocks is my second language, yeah. Now, I think Lukozer and I were talking last night about. I'll be honest, and it was only last night about 9 o'clock at night that I thought, fuck, I need to actually start looking to see if I can look at some SID tunes, try and find something else. So I spent about 3 hours last night. I was up to about midnight, just basically going through, and bloody hell, it is a hard task. There are some. I mean, there's is it 52,000 SID tunes out there at the moment? Is there something like that? Yeah. And there are. I mean, I don't know how many of them. There are so many good tunes. I was listening to some thinking, right, I'm going to put that in, and then I'd listen to the next one, I'm going to put that in. I thought there's so many. So I think going forwards with these, I mean, I would imagine we'll probably do another one of these at some point. You know, we'll see how it goes. But I think rather than calling it our sort of 5 favourite SID tunes, I mean, you know, this is the 3rd one. I think what we're really doing is just going through a vast selection of good music and just highlighting SID tunes that we think other people would probably enjoy.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
You know, so I don't think you have to be. I know, Lukozer, you were kind of debating with yourself about, oh bloody hell, I want to put that one in, but I also want to put that one in. Well, leave that for the next one.
Yeah, I'm still trying to decide between those two. So,
so the time it took me make my fried lunch and eat it, you still couldn't decide. You're still
no. I'm literally going to make my decision while I'm saying what it is.
Well, tell you what, we'll kick things off, and because you've not decided yet, I think we'll let you go first, Panther, with your first choice. And
my first.
Yeah.
Well, I'm starting strong with my first choice. Very strong, I would suggest. I'm going back to 1988 for my first one, and I'm going for Cybernoid 2 by Jarentel.
Wow. Bit of an
There
epic track,
you
that
go.
one, isn't it?
Yeah, fantastic start.
Well, the thing to remember with that as well is Sharon tells the same age as me, bar 60 days. So his birthday is in May. So that means in 1988, depending on which part of the year he wrote it in, he would have been 15 or 16 when he composed that.
The first time I heard that, because I didn't have Cyanoid 2 back in the day, I'd played the first one, and that's why I didn't bother with the second. The first time I heard it was an Amiga, like, re-recording of it sort of thing. And it wasn't that well done insofar as it didn't sound that much different to the 64 version. So, yeah, hearing that, the actual SID there, I don't know if it's saying how badly done the Amiga one was or how well done the 64 one was. I suspect it was the latter. But when you go back to the first video, when I chose Eliminator, it was a toss-up between Eliminator and this. So, yeah, I'm a big fan.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, epic part. Was that about 5 minutes, was it, or something, I think?
5:46 it says on here.
Yeah. No, fantastic tune. Like I said, I'd kind of moved away from the C64 at that point, so I don't think I've actually ever heard that before, and it is damned impressive.
It is. I mean, like today there is a Spectrum 128 version of Cybernoid 2, and I was sodding about with a Specky emulator earlier on, and I put it on, and I was like, it's all right for a Specky game. It looks all right, but the AY audio, I can't remember who done the tune, but it's pretty poor compared to that. I mean, Jeren's, he's a brilliant musician. You know, he's got degrees in studio this and studio that. He's a very clever man, and he's good at what he does. And like Lukozer said, I think it's a case of how good he was rather than how bad someone else was with the Amiga version, because that is a stonking tune.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Right, over to yourself, Mr. Lukozer. Have you decided?
Right, I'm going second, am I? Okay. Right, well, for this one, I think it's entirely predictable. Anyone who's been looking at my channel over the last sort of like week and a half or so will know straight away what it's going to be. It is Matt Gray. It's the loading music for Hunter's Moon. There we go.
Superb.
To my shame, when we did the first video, and even when we were doing the second, I had completely forgotten about this. If I'd remembered it, this would have definitely been in my top 5 in the first video. I just think it's a fantastic piece. And it suits the game, I think, absolutely perfectly. It really does sort of set the atmosphere for the rest of the game to come. I just cannot fault it in any way.
Yeah, it's got a very kind of sort of industrial, kind of mechanical sound to it. And what I like the fact that you've got the little scope thing at the top, and it's impressive because you can actually see that is the 3 voices, the one at the very top.
Yeah.
It's like that's the kind of drums. And how clever that these guys are able to get all this sound coming out just one voice, and then the other ones kick in. You know, it's really, really clever.
Yeah, I like having the scope display there for that reason, so I can see which which channels are being used to generate which part of the music there.
No, that was very, very impressive.
I can try the scope to see if it kills my computer or not. I'll tell you what, I recorded all of Matt Gray's stuff. In 2018 I think it was, for him. I did the whole lot for him to give to backers for his one of his Reformation things. And I noticed listening to his music, and I don't know whether he'd agree with me or not, but a lot of his bass lines, not necessarily the notes, but the sort of sound of it, really, really reminds me of early Hawkwind, particularly when Lemmy was on bass for him. Just for some reason, Matt's stuff really reminds me of that. It's just got that. It's got the, rather than the sounds, it's got the feel of it. I think it's the way he puts it together.
Yeah, I've heard a few Hawkwinds, so I'm not hugely familiar with them, so I couldn't say. But I mean, that's a pretty fucking good comparison though, because what I have heard of them, I do really like. So yeah, comparing Matt Gray to Hawkwind, that's quite the compliment.
I think Silver Machine's the only one I actually know. No, cracker. And since we've been coming out with the big guns, I am going to do the very, very same. It's a game by, it's a tune by one of my heroes when it comes to the tunes. Let me just bring him up. And it's Mr. Hubbard, and this is the theme tune, the opening track to Thrust. and there we have it. Another epic Mr. Hubbard track. What I like about Rob Hubbard, and like a lot of the good musicians, some of his tracks go on and on and on and on, but just when you think, oh, it's getting repetitive, he just throws another bit into it, and it's something different.
One thing that I really liked when I first discovered SID play and that was being able to hear this particular piece without any interruptions, because I always remember in the game, as it was cycling through like the high score and the demo mode and everything, there would always be like, you know, it was just like a fraction of a second interruption throughout it, which, you know, doesn't sound like much, but it was enough to break it up, and it used to really irritate me. So it was only after SID play came along I finally actually got to hear this piece all the way through without any sort of breakups or anything.
I remember the first time I actually heard that, it was that's when I downloaded a demo of Compunate, and it was Ash and Dave, I think it was. They used to kind of do demos, and it was like a wee band that were actually playing their instruments, and that was the tune. And then a few months later, I bought Thrust, and that was the theme tune. But I love the sort of the kind of the deep kind of bass bit every sort of couple of minutes. It's like ba 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 da ba da ba type thing. It always reminds me. Do you remember how the TV program?
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
You'll know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Panther, what do you think of that one?
Oh, I love it, mate. That was a game that I don't mind admitting I am absolutely rubbish at. After about the third or fourth level, I'm just crap at it. And as for the reverse gravity levels, just forget it.
Yeah,
but I did used to load it up for the music back in the day. Wait for the tape to load, and it was worth it. I mean, that track's nearly 7 minutes long, and it's great.
Yeah, 6:42 I think it is. So that's an absolute epic one to kick.
I think it's safe to say that we all did that with that game. I thought the game was good, but yeah, we all loaded it up just to listen to the music on plenty of occasions.
For £1.99 as well, your hard drive.
That's the thing, yeah, it was a bargain. $1.99 and you got that. It didn't matter if the game was good or not.
And the game was epic as well, so yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a good game, just bloody hard.
Yeah, yes.
So I think we're back to Mr. Panther again, is it?
Alright.
I believe.
Right, well, this time I'm shooting forward to the present, to 2018, and I'm going to go with a song called F600 by a guy called Esteban Palladino, I believe from Argentina, but he's part of the Hakutu Force that do the demos and stuff like they do some of the cracks.
Oh, yeah.
He goes by the handle of Uktumi. Now, I think it was last week, Lukozer shared a video of me of someone using SID Wizard teaching you how to make SIDs up, and that was this guy, so I thought I'd feature one of his songs. I think that's a long enough fade there. There was another 30 seconds of that.
Before we actually start discussing that one, I have badly got to take a leak. And if you don't edit this one out, can you at least spell my name right this time?
What did I call you?
It was Lukozer last time, yes, yeah. Hold just be a sec.
Right, anyway, yeah, I thought that piece was really, I actually thought it was very Jean-Michel Jarre. I was particularly impressed with the sort of the bass that was running through it. Do you think that was that a sample? Do you think he was using for the bass drum?
I don't think it was a sample.
No,
I mean,
it wasn't a sample.
It was.
No.
Really? Well, very very bassy. I mean,
but the good thing about this this deepsid.cordian.net, if any of your subscribers want to go there to listen to music, I thoroughly recommend it. It's got the entire high voltage SID collection on it. It shows you in the top corner, because mine's still on the screen. Is my mouse visible on there? Yep.
Yep, you can still see it.
Up here where it says PAL and it says 8580, because a lot of the modern demos are done with the 8580 chip. Underneath it will say like digits, and it tells you the speed. Like if you put one of Jason Page's ones on there, one of the ones he's done at 4 times, it will say on there 4 times, so it gives you a bit of information about it. And also we've got it on scope. You've got the STIL, and on some of the older songs it'll give you information about the tune, like what it's a cover of or what the inspiration was behind it, if a composer's made, you know, comments about it and that. But yeah, I really like that tune. I've seen a few of the Hakuto Falls demos, and what they tend to do is they tend to do trainers for games, and they even do it for modern games. But what I like about them is if it's a game that's currently being sold, they don't crack the game and sell the game with it. They'll let you download the crack, and then you have to know what you're doing to attach it to your disk image yourself. So that way they're not breaking copyright, but they're still getting their trainers and whatnot out. And their demos are pretty good as well. They're really good graphically, you know, where they manage to mix the colours up so it looks like there's more than it is. Hakuto Falls, they're really worth going on the CSDB, the Commodore Scene database, I think it is, and having a look for some of their stuff. If you like a demo, they're brilliant.
Yeah, some of the demos that are coming out. I mean, I love going in and downloading a few of the demos. I'll watch them on a real C64, and some of the stuff that they're actually, you know, the colours that they're getting on the screen is just absolutely incredible. You know, you would never believe in a million years that it was a C64.
Yeah, I agree.
Fantastic, but yeah, absolute epic choice. So I think it's down to myself now. You'll be glad to know that this is a very, very, very short one. It is the theme tune. Is that going to start?
Is one of us going to point out that you've left me out there?
There we go. Bug it started there. Yeah, it's a very. And in fact, sorry, I started it accidentally. Right, hang on a second. I'll come off of this and I'll put my one up. So
not Lukozer's one.
Yeah, you're skipping my number 4, are you?
There we go. Oh no, sorry, it's your what am I talking about? Bloody hell!
This is the 3rd video, and you still can't get it.
And we're not even drinking.
You flung me when you disappeared like that.
Oh, so yeah, it's got to be my fault somewhere, isn't it?
Sorry, Mr. Lukozer, over to yourself, Squire.
Right,
Number 4.
The fact that it's got my screen up there does rather give away who it is next. So yeah, in the last 2, we've had 2 different members of Maniacs of Noise. So I thought, right, we'll have a 3rd. Even though this particular one was done before he became one of the Maniacs of Noise. So this is from 1986. And here we go. I've got this written out phonetically. This is Johannes Biergoa. Apparently that is how it's pronounced, even though it doesn't look it. So it's a bit of an obvious choice if you are familiar with my channel again, because I put this up about a week and a half ago or so. So this is his music from Special Agent.
Nice.
Nice. I love that ending.
Now that one, I hadn't heard that for, well, up until about 3, maybe 4 weeks ago. There's another channel I watch, Witchfinder 1976. He spent, I think he was doing like a series of videos. It took him about 3 years, and he covered every single Mastertronic Commodore 64 game. And he's just recently started up doing the Firebird games, and he uses this as his like intro tune to like each of his videos. And the first time I heard it, I thought, I have no idea what it is, but I left a comment. I had to find out what it was called. So he let me know, and I had to try out the game. the game is utterly forgettable. Don't waste your time with it at all. You know, you've now heard the best thing about the game by a distance. It's, there's something a bit film soundtracky about it to me, because the way that the melody is like one of these really sort of like epic swooping melodies that you know, just really dominates the whole thing. I mean, it's not flawless. I think the bass is a bit too spatial. You listen to the bass notes. The decay rate on each note is, I think, if anything, a bit too fast. It's almost as fast as if it was like a drum sound. So, you know, not flawless, but then 86, this must be among the first sort of like game pieces he did. It shows that, you know, he clearly knew what he was doing, and he just got better from there.
No, absolutely. I know what you mean. It wasn't so much a sort of a standalone piece of music that you would listen to in the car, but it was almost like the music to start a game, you know, leading up to the sort of the start of a game or a film. It had that kind of epic kind of feel to it, but very, very, very impressive. As you say, for a 1986 SID tune as well, you know. Wow.
So I'm just trying to find something. Bear with me. Talk amongst yourselves as you do.
Okay.
Do you think when companies were putting together games, especially budget games, when they were sitting around the sort of development table, they're saying, right, you've got the game, yeah, how's that looking? Yeah, fucking hell, that game is absolutely shit. You know, the last V8, have you played it? Has any fucker actually played it? Well, nobody's played it, it's clearly unplayable. Tell you what, let's put on an absolutely fantastic SID tune. Why do you think that was a conscious decision to actually, or do you think nobody really? I'm kind of leaning towards probably publishers didn't really listen to the music. That the probably just says, there's the 2K file, add it on, Bob's your uncle, and away it went. You know, why would they put a fantastic piece of tune to an absolute shit game? If that was Rob Hubbard and co, I'd have been extremely pissed off.
Yeah, I mean, okay, well, you used the last V8 there as the example. I mean, the thing is, the last V8 was by David Darling, and remind me, who was it who owned Mastertronic at the time? I think there is your answer as to why that game got released. With this particular one, I don't particularly know, actually. I mean, it looks like it was a first game by this lot who did it. I can't remember their name now. It's the Danish something or others. Anyway, they were all Danes who'd worked on it. So, I mean, it could be something as simple as, you know, well, let's have the novelty of a game from Denmark on our label. It could have been that they thought the music was great, and I can't say I blame them. So,
I think sometimes... Sorry.
Oh, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I think sometimes people like ourselves, you probably think there was far more... You probably think it was far more organised than it actually was. I think having smoked a few people like Gary Bracey of Ocean, the early days it was just kind of like, get the code, get it boxed, boom, get it put out there, you know, and that's why games were released literally completely bug ridden.
We're looking at you, Knight Rider.
So I think you probably find that other than the programmer and the guy who actually wrote the SID tune, probably they didn't really give a shit about if it was any good or not.
Well, the information I was looking for is last year, Johannes Biergar was diagnosed with stage 3C colon cancer.
Yeah.
And I was just looking whether we needed how he was getting on, because I'm sure he's still with us.
Oh yeah.
And I was just checking up just before Christmas. He said it was reduced by 75%, and he was suffering with some nerve damage, permanent nerve damage from chemo and that. And he's got some insurance in place, so hopefully, well, we wish him all the best, don't we, lads?
Yeah, hopefully.
That was something I was going to mention. I think it was Christmas 2018 when he underwent the surgery, and it was pretty extensive. A lot of people were, unsure if he was going to actually make it or not, and I think for a while it was like touch and go. But the last I've heard, he's doing pretty fucking good, actually. He's so, you know, I think he's over the worst of it.
Well,
I
let's
think
hope
he's
so.
now back to, because he's now quite a prominent jazz musician. And I think I don't know if he's actually gone back to actually performing, but I think he may have actually gone back to recording. So he's certainly on the mend.
Oh, good.
Good stuff, yeah. Swift recovery, young man. So, excellent. Now it's my turn. Can I go?
Yes, now you can go, yeah.
Sorry, I'll go instead.
Yeah.
Right, don't worry, you'll not have long to wait for this one. This is going to be, well, I'm going to counteract one with the one after this, but anyway, this is probably going to be the shortest piece possibly, I think. It's a track to a game, it's an arcade game and instantly recognisable, and it's very short, but I just think, let me get this right, my screen, there we go, it's by Mr. Mark Cooksey. If you're watching this, Mark, dodgy haircut, mate, that's all I can say, but anyway, yeah, this is the theme tune to 1942, I just think it's short, but it's nice. Hey, yeah, short but sweet. Well, it's kind of repetitive, but I mean, it was obviously just it was a sort of an introduction. But I think it's as a tune for an arcade shoot 'em up. I think it's absolutely perfect. Obviously, it's the Battle of Britain. Is that what's it called, Chris?
633 Squadron, yeah.
Ah, not the Battle of Britain, right? I thought it was called 1942, but anyway, there you go. Those are arcade games back in the whenever it was that came out. But yeah, I just think it's a jumpy piece. I mean, what a lot of Max Cooks' stuff. I think he did. Did he not do? I'm going to make a complete arse of myself. I've got this wrong. Did he not do Bomb Jack as well?
Yep.
I suspect so. Yes.
Yeah. Very bouncy. they're perfect tracks for arcade games. I think.
He also done Ghosts and Goblins as well, which is one of his most famous ones.
That's a fantastic piece. Yeah, that's a really, really good piece. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would choose Ghosts and Goblins as his best one. I'm not a big fan of his Bon Jack music, and I got to be honest, not overly keen on this one, but it does the job. You know, it certainly serves its purpose in the game. Unfortunately, the game's a bit shit, but there you go.
Yeah, that's what we're talking. That's what we're talking. But, what do you think, Panther? You a fan of that one?
It's one of my early memories of having a Commodore 64. You know, it's one of the games that was it around 1986 it come out. So it was one of the games that came out like the year I got my computer. So we used to know a chap that used to turn up with tapes, C90s full of the latest games. I'm sure we all know someone like that. And it's a good rendition of 633 Squadron. You know, it's like you say, it's not perfect, but it fits with a game about aeroplanes shooting other aeroplanes.
You line up a C64 against a Spectrum, and your mate puts the Spectrum on. You get the little farty sound effects. You load up your C64, and you've got this cacophony of sound. It's like, until you start the game. That's for another video. So anyway, yeah, that was my set.
We're really winning over the Spectrum fans with this one, eh?
Okay.
So epic tune. So I think it's back down to the bottom of the screen for Mr. P.
Right, well, I'm going to stick with my 2018 tracks, and this time I'm going for a track by a guy called Antti Hanula. Probably mullered his name, but he goes by the handle of Flex, and I couldn't tell you the exact things he's done demo-wise, but I noticed in my little graphic down here he's got credits in 1,136 scene things. So it's not like he hasn't done a lot. And this song is called Echoes of Neon, and I rather like this one a lot. I think it's another one that's got a really good bass line.
That was 2018 it came out, so it's a fairly recent track, eh?
Yeah, here we go. go. I'm quite
Nice.
partial to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was fucking great.
Yeah.
But,
you could-
That's another one that I would have been impressed if I'd heard that on an Amiga music disc, let alone 64.
Yeah, it is good. I mean, I'll hold my hands up. A lot of these latest tracks that I've listened to that I know of, I've got a friend called Max Hall who had a lot to do with a Project Hubbard and stuff like that. And there's a lot of stuff he's recorded for Jason Page. They had a vinyl thing with loads of Jason's music on it. Well, he does a show. It was once a month. Now it's whenever he can manage it, called the Chip SID show on Radio Free Matlock. If anyone wants to Google Chip SID show, Max Hall, there's a page that's got all the ones from the last couple of years. I think there's been 20 so far. You can download them as FLACs or MP3s. The last live one was last week. And because of the situation at the moment, I believe he's doing another one in May. It's like a once a month thing. Yeah, the Chip SID show, and that's where I've heard a lot of these newer songs from. It's really good. He's an amusing character as well, and he's played some of my stuff on there. And in late 2018, he done a tribute to Ben Daglish, and I recorded all the music for that show, and that was all from the SID Effects 2 album. So it was a massive honour to be involved in something, and he was actually a close friend of Ben's as well. So to be asked if he could use my recordings for that, I was like, yeah, take them. You know what I mean? It was a real privilege to be a part of that.
I think, I mean, these headphones that I've got aren't the greatest, but I would imagine that piece played through a decent sound system with the bass would sound just absolutely epic.
Yeah, it does thump. I know that because I've got two subs built into my system.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of good music from the early days, but you can certainly tell how the music has matured, you know, since 1986, here we are, 2018. You can tell the guys are really getting to grips with just what the SID chip can actually do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so many tips and tips. There's so many tricks and little nuances that they can do now. I've got an interesting one later, but I'll talk about that at a time, talking about interesting nuances and that. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that. So because we've been off of work and what have you, I've been listening back to a few of the older Chip SID shows. So there was a couple that had them in. I thought, oh, those are really cracking tunes. I'm going to. People have been saying, like, you know, subscribers and that have said they wanted some newer stuff from the demo stuff. So I thought, I've heard it, I like it. I'll see what you guys think, and so far, so good.
Good stuff. Right, back to Mr. Lukozer.
Right, back to me. Okay, well, I've decided then what my Martin Galway piece is going to be. It's a bit of a classic, and yet for reasons that are about to become abundantly clear, there are still plenty of people who have never heard it, because the game never got released, which gives away its Street Hawk.
Well, I can't get much more Galway than that.
There's a couple of things about that one. We'll get the obvious out of the way. Do I think that's Galway's best? No. If I was doing a top 10, I would probably... It might scrape it into the 10. But I just thought it was worth including because I know there are plenty of people who watch these who are Galway fans, and there are still quite a few of them who've not yet heard Street Hawk, purely because obviously the game was never released. It was very close to being released. I think it was something like 99% finished before Ocean then pulled the plug. So although it's a decent piece that Galway did, it never actually got used. That's despite the fact that when I uploaded this on my channel a couple of weeks ago, I got an interesting comment from somebody who said that music was the best thing about the game. And I thought, you played a lot of Street Hawk on your 64 back in the day, did you?
The chances are it's out there somewhere now. I'll have to have a look later on.
Yeah. Well, when you said you were thinking your next piece was by Martin Galway, I was like, yeah, beauty, because I'm a massive, massive Martin Galway fan. After about a minute, I was getting bored. I'm like, really, is it just going to be this? I felt the first minute was just went on a bit long, and then it picked up. It definitely got better, but I thought the first minute just dragged on and on and on. It was just sort of background noise.
Well, that start, I think it's a bit interesting because a lot of people, and again, this is also based on a couple of comments I got on my video. I had a visit from Captain Obvious who told us all, oh, did you know it was Tangerine Dream who did the original television theme? Yes, I did. So does just about everybody else, of our age. We all know that. But to me, that doesn't sound a lot like Tangerine Dream to me, especially that start. That start to me sounds more like very early sort of Cabaret Voltaire. It's very sort of like almost like heavy electronica, if that makes any sense to you. It doesn't sound that much like the actual television theme to me, not at all. So it's an unusual choice, I thought, for a piece for the game.
You know what? It's just got me thinking about a couple of things when I was listening to that. As I said, I got bored after a couple of minutes. I thought, Christ, I've still got another 3 minutes to go, and then it picked up and it got better. If the game had been released, then chances are, who would have actually got to it? I would have probably thought the music shit and switched it off because it took about 2 minutes to actually get going. And that's why when a track is put out there as part of a game, unless you particularly want to listen to the track, most people load a game to actually to play the game, so they'll only listen to the first 10 seconds and then they'll get going. And another thing as well, and you guys might be able to tell me why, or if I'm talking bollocks or not, when you think about Rob Hubbard, Martin Galway, Jerome Tell, all the early guys, they were probably given, right mate, the next project is Target Renegade, you've got 2K memory. I'm like, fucking hell, they've got to go away with that. Now guys, so these guys were tasked with writing a tune for a game. It's going to be based around a science fiction scenario. It needs to sound pretty science fiction-y. Guys now who bring out songs now have got, they're not writing for a game, and they've got the whole processor at their to use. Does that kind of make sense? They've got the whole thing to use, whereas Rob Hubbard and co were working within the confines of the programmer says, right, you've got 2K to do your tune.
I get what you're saying, but a lot of the demo tunes and that, the amount of graphics that's going on, then they're not getting the whole lot. And as discussed in SID Show 1, Thomas DeTurk managed to get 32 minutes in 10K. So, I don't know. I kind of disagree with you a bit on that. I didn't find it boring at all. I listen to a lot of Pink Floyd, and I listen to a lot of progressive rock. I listen to a lot of Rush and stuff like that. Some of Rush's songs take forever to get started. My favourite song by them is 20 minutes long. You know what I mean? So, I'm kind of used to that sort of long intro. So, and also I did used to. But if I bought a game, I quite often went by who'd done the music rather than the actual game I mean, for me, the Commodore 64 was big about sound because that's what drew me into it. I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but it's I didn't find that boring at all.
I wonder if being the fan of prog rock helps, because I'm also quite a fan of it. I'm a big fan of Yes and King Crimson in particular. So I wonder if that might have something to do with it. Although, like you were just saying, if this game had come out, I would have bought it on site because I knew that there would be a new Galway piece on there. So, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one. In fact, I know I wasn't the only one who just went out and bought every new Ocean game because of, they were thinking, right, what's the next Galway or Dun or Grey, whatever piece that's on there. So, the games would sell. I'd say I would have definitely bought it. I'll say it's not my favourite Galway one, but it might scrape it into the top 10 there.
As I said, it was just the first couple of minutes. I thought, Christ, is this going to be it? Then it started, it picked up, and I did enjoy the second half a lot more than the first.
I'll just quickly add, I can counter the whole, it started off very slowly with one word, parallax.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue.
I was waiting for you to say something, yeah.
No, I'm not going to argue because I chose Parallax on the first show.
Yeah.
He's absolutely right.
Yeah. And that's probably why Parallax isn't one of my favourite Martin Galway tracks either, but still an impressive
in a very sort of like faint way, it may follow the same sort of structure that the two pieces are put together with the slow start building up. So that could be, if you weren't keen on Parallax, this may not be to your liking either.
Mm-hmm. But still, you can't get a bad Martin Galway track.
You can, Green Beret Loader.
That's for another
video. Now I do disagree with you.
Right, back to myself. This next one, and Mr. Lukozer's probably going to know exactly what it is because he already mentioned it to me last night. This is a track. I didn't buy the game for the music. I bought the game for the game, but the music was what, and it's a genre of game that I would never ever play. But I played it and enjoyed the game simply because the music, I wanted to listen to music and it actually got me into the game. And it's Master of Magic by Mr. Rob Hubbard. There we go, another epic piece, if ever there was.
Yeah, absolute classic, that one.
Yeah, brilliant.
I mean, I still have fond memories of playing the game. I don't know if any of you guys have played it yet. It's a kind
Yeah,
of
I had that one back in the day.
Yeah, Dungeon Explorer, you kill bats and that kind of stuff. It was like an RPG. It was like the ultimate sort of adventure games, but you control this little character. And I think was it commands? I think it was. You had like option to take bat, kill the bat, run away, and that kind of stuff. But
Yeah,
music, yeah.
The actual playing area of the game was very small, and it was
And
basically
opened up.
and it consisted of dots. I mean, graphically, the playing area was even more basic than Adventure on the old Atari VCS, but the game itself I thought was fucking great. I mean, I do like the role-playing games. Good ones on the 64 were few and far between, but this was certainly one. And the fact that it was only $2.99 made it an absolute steal.
Right.
And then you got that music on top of it. That is definitely one of my favourite Hubbard pieces. I can't fault the game at all.
You played it, Panther?
I don't remember playing it, but I know I definitely had a copy because I know I had the music, so I must have done at some point in time. It's from what you two said, it's vaguely familiar, but I think that might have been a load up for the music job for me. I think back when that was out, I was more into shooting things and fast moving stuff. So,
well, so was I, but that I think because I wanted to listen to music, I thought, well, fuck it, I was well playing the game, and I actually got into the game, you know. And just it's an epic piece. It's perfectly kind of written for the subject matter. It's got kind of wee spooky bits in between as well, especially at the ending as well. So
it's a absolutely wonderful bit of music. I mean, there's no reason why I can't chuck it on either the Mini or my Real 64 or even Vice or something and have a look at it. It's worth it for the music.
No, I definitely recommend playing it. So, good stuff. So, I think back to yourself.
Right, well,
your fourth choice.
I'm shooting back in time to 1990 and putting a good word for a friend of mine, my mate Thomas, and I'm going to go with Star Force from the game Star Force, basically the title theme. So here we go. There you go.
That was impressive. I loved the sort of the voice kind of effects that you kind of put interspersed.
Yeah, that was sending the old scope display quite haywire in several places.
There was a lot of fancy patterns going on there, I noticed, compared to the one that we were talking about earlier on, but it was just all squares.
I stumbled across that one after we did the first video, and I was listening to the Gordian Tomb on SID play, and I was going through like the other Thomas Detert that I had, and I played that one, and it kind of threw me because around I think it's the 1 minute 40 mark, it sounded like it was going to end. I thought, fucking hell, that's short, but then of course it carries on.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Tom's work, and I'm fortunate enough to have got to know him, become friends with him. But he's another one like Jaron that can get a drum sound without any samples. Same as Jason Page as well. They can get drum sounds without any samples. So instead of that sort of like what sounds like a very short explosion that some composers use, these guys actually get a good bass and snare sound out of it without sampling anything. It's amazing.
Yeah, that was a great snare sound throughout that one, definitely.
Yeah, was that a game you said it was for Panther? Yeah.
Yeah. It's the game Star Force. It's a reasonably good vertical shoot 'em up, actually.
Was it based on the arcade game Star Force? I'm guessing, is it?
No, not based on that. No, it's good for a 64 shoot 'em up, in as much as you haven't got a massive ship. They're quite nice detailed graphics. Some of the boss graphics are quite large, but a lot of the example games, Dave have got really nice graphics. They're not always the best games. Like another one Tom did the music for, Klystron. Wonderful music, a really nice looking game, but it's one I've never been able to get on with. I'll probably need to give it a proper try. But yeah, it's a game. It's a game worth looking at. I don't think it's particularly poor. I mean, there's a lot worse. Yeah, it's a lot better than Algol, anyway.
Can you actually think of a game that's not better than Algol? Oh, fucking hell.
No.
No.
He's never played Dino Eggs. There you go. Superb. Right, back to you, Mr. L.
Right, now.
Penultimate.
Yes, my number 4. So, well, we've now had 3 of the Maniacs of Noise in these videos. So it's time for a 4th. So this is another one that I've had to write phonetically. So this is Ren Our Hunt, and this is not from a game. This is, well, it was done in 1989. This is Contaxia.
It's got a really impressive. I love the sound at the start and the sound at the end. I mean, the in between bit is really technically impressive as well. I love that. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's got the Maniacs and noise sound to it. It's Rain's one of them guys. I find him quite ahead of his time, because that stuff sounds like the stuff people are doing on demos now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really want to explore a good soundtrack by him, look no further than The Last Ninja 3. There's an hour's worth of music there, near enough, and it is a good soundtrack. The whole lot is as good as Ben Daglish and Anthony Lee's first one. It's as good as Matt Gray's second one, and it really showcases what he can do. It's a really good track.
Yeah, I think, if anything, of the four main musicians of Maniacs of Noise, for reasons that I don't really understand, Rain's stuff seems to be often the most overlooked. And I think, well, you listen to something like that, why on earth would it be? I think his stuff is fucking amazing.
Yeah, it is. He's a talented musician. I mean, I've got some a remix album done by him. This I don't know how to categorise it really. It's kind of, some of it's jazz, some of it's synth. It's kind of all over the place, but it's all really good.
Mm. Oh yeah, so he has a hell of a variety of music styles. I think I read somewhere he's now doing film soundtracks. So he's certainly progressed in the world.
Comes a good pedigree then, yeah. No, that was impressive, as Panther said, for was that a 1989?
89, yeah.
89, I mean, that's still pretty early doors, you know what I mean? That's damned impressive. Really was. So, yeah, I think it's now time for my second for last one. Now, this is definitely shortest. It's only 52 seconds. Now, I've
let it loop twice.
Yeah.
Nah, once will be enough. The reason I've gone for this, in fact, let me just bring it up, Main Meister. The reason I've gone for this guy is he was the person who first got me interested in Commodore 64 music. His stuff, he was called the Mighty Bog, or he's called the Bog on the SID collection, but he was called the Mighty Bog, Graham Marsh. I would love to get him on for a Blind Mates Only, but I don't know how to contact him. So, Panther, if you have any connections, please let me know. But I first got to know about him when I had CompuNet, which was like the early internet, you know, for the want of a better word. Basically, it was people, you could download tunes, download little demos, you could download pictures, and there was a thing called the Mighty Bog album, and it was a disc image, and it had about maybe 12 tracks. 99% of the stuff he does is cover versions. Now, I know we can include these. He's got stuff like a lot of Depeche Mode, Bitty Howard Jones, Marillion, some really, really good stuff. But this piece, it's you might say it's gimmicky, but I've included it because it's my favourite track that he's done. I just think it's called Roller Coaster. If you imagine a roller coaster at the shows, you know, and considering how early this was really before Rob Hubbard came on the scene. I just think, as one of the real early pioneers of the SID sort of chip, I thought he absolutely nailed it with this. It's called Roller Coaster, and like I said, it's only 52 seconds, but I think just technically it's fantastic. And that is it. What do you think?
Well,
Says fairground, doesn't it?
yeah. Short and sweet, yeah.
What year was that, Al?
I think it was very early 1985.
Yeah, that's quite impressive use of the channels there for that. I mean that was spot on fairground music. Like you say, it fits the name roller coaster.
You know, if you let somebody listen to that piece of music and you said, "Oh, it's a Commodore 64," you think, well, yeah, that could have been somebody at Blackpool Promenade playing that on a big piano, whatever. You know, a big organ. But I think he did do a few games. I think he did. Is it Dan Dare 3? He did do a few commercial releases. But I would absolutely, out of all there's a few musicians I'd love to speak to, and he's one of them, because I just love to know how he got started, because he was kind of doing music before anyone else was really doing music. He was one of the real early guys. But listen, since I only used up 52 seconds of your time, I'm going to throw in a little bonus track that he's done, because it'll make you laugh. And it's called Have you heard of The Entertainer?
Yeah.
Well, this is called The Unentertainer, which will be revealed in a second. I'm not subjected to any more, but I think that's brilliant. That was another one of his pieces.
Inspired by Les Dawson.
I was going to say, it's got Les Dawson written all over it, isn't it?
So, yeah, brilliant. So I think we're on to the very, very last tune by Panther.
Well, I'll ask around if he's still about and someone knows him. I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can do, mate.
I would love to. I'd absolutely love to speak to him. I really would.
Right. Well, my last one is another member of Maniacs of Noise, although he's only been a member for a couple of years, and that's Marcus Klein, who goes by the handle of L-Man. He's another SID wizard. Now, I'll admittedly say, you know, we're using this to listen to the songs, but it will sound a lot better in post-production, I think they say. This is one where if you can tell me where the SID chip ends and the samples begin, I'll give you a carrot, because this is absolutely astounding. But it will sound better when from an actual SID chip rather than from an emulator. But it'll tell you the story, hopefully. Now, if you played me that and you said, "Here, I've found a long lost Tangerine Dream track," and gave me that, I would have said, "Oh, is it?" Because there's no way I would have believed that was a SID, and I was dubious about it when I saw it on his YouTube channel until I played the demo and got the same graphics on my 64 behind me, and I was like, "Fucking hell!"
Yeah, that is by a distance the most impressive I've heard tonight, both in terms of technical ability and music. Oh, that was fucking amazing.
Yeah, I was thinking exactly the same thing myself. That could have quite easily been used as an intro in a BBC programme about technology, or space or something. I mean, there was nothing to tell anybody that was a Commodore 64. It was professional. It was a professional piece. Really, really impressive.
With that one, I mean, obviously he is using all the available memory, because when you play it, it's just a blue screen with 2 raster bars on there, and it sounds amazing when you actually have it on an actual real Commodore 64 and you hear that coming out the speakers. I've got a set of meaty PC speakers connected to mine, and it's a bugger to record as well, because it's an 8580, and he says on the actual when you download it, make sure you play this. In fact, I think he says it in the comments on here if you look. Make sure you play this on an 8580. So of course I've recorded it, and it's only really coming out of one side. It's given a bit of stereo for some of the sounds from the 6581. So what I've had to do to record this, I've had to record it like that. I've had to turn the 6581 up. Then I've had to copy out the 8580 channel, set it to mono, put it back in the mix. So I've got basically an 8580 running down the middle, an 8580 in the right channel, and a 6581 in the left. And it still sounds a bit right-handed, but through my surround system, that sounds the absolute tits. It really is good.
Yeah.
So will that sound pretty good on my 64C connected to my CRT stereo telly, you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's written for the 8580 chip. It's
Is that the 64C? Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. It's the newer one.
I
mean, I was going to say he's just had a bit of a tussle with another YouTuber. Sharon put up about someone's doing something a bit bad by Marcus Klein, by L-Man. And can everyone sort of report this, because it's not on? And what had happened is he's got a song, I think it's called, I can't remember offhand, I think it's called Something Sunshine. And basically it's a bit of music similar to that, but it's also got his wife or his girlfriend singing on it, his partner singing on it. And someone else had put it up and then copyright striked Marcus because he's on his YouTube channel. Of course, all the people on the scene, me included, didn't all admittedly go to this bloke's channel. Not at all did we say, "You're a bloody thief, you should never steal music," and that didn't make him take it down and drop it at all. Not at all, ever. Not us. So it turned out all right for Marcus. But yeah, it's similar to what happened with David Whittaker and the Lazy Jones music.
Yeah.
When was that piece out, Panther?
2015.
Yeah, as Lukozer said, that's probably one of the most technically impressive, bits of music. Really, really awesome.
But it does both. I mean, okay, being technically impressive is one thing, but the music also has to be great as well.
Yeah,
That's that excels in both departments.
Totally agree. Gets a thumbs up from all of us, I think. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, definitely gets one from me. I just wish he'd made it easier to record Marcus, because I'm going to send him. I am actually friends with him on Facebook due to the debacle over his bleeding song being nicked. So I will send him a link to this and say, look, I've highlighted one of your songs. Thanks for making it difficult to record, you bugger. He seems like a genuinely nice chap, and so he's been a member of the Maniacs of Noise since, I think, hang on, let me just slide my little screen across here. Since it looks like, well, I don't know how they're doing the dates on here, so I'm going to say the 1st of December 2017. So he's been with them a couple of years, and you can see why, or hear why.
Awesome. Bloody awesome. Right, 2 to go. Last one for you, Mr. L.
Right, my last one is from a game. This game came out in '89. and it was credited, or the music was credited to Fame. Specifically, it was Michael Hendricks, who I'm pretty sure was by far the most prolific composer for Fame. So, well, this is the intro sequence to a game that I will always call X Out. But to me, that has a real film score feel to it. You get the main anthem, you then get like the second movement, and then back into the anthem again. It just has a whole film soundtrack feel there. I mean, it wasn't Michael Hendricks who actually composed it originally. The original version was by Chris Hülsbeck for the Amiga version, and so Michael Hendricks has done this one on the 64. But I mean, he has got it absolutely spot on. But that whole sequence is impressive. It has the exact same intro sequence on the 64 as the Amiga one had. It fits the game absolutely fantastically, every bit as well as the Hunter's Moon loader, I think, fitted that one. This really works too. I can't help but be impressed with that.
Yeah, that's really good. I've never heard that before. I've heard the Amiga version, the original, but I've never heard the 64 one before, and it just breathes sci-fi film, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It might have even made if they'd stuck that in V, it might have actually made that not a bad game,
V's already a fucking good game, so it doesn't need any more help.
I'm running out of time to put a dig in against V. So I better get it in quick, so I had to shoehorn that in. I thought that was absolutely astonishing, really, really nice. Again, that was quite a what year was that, Chris?
That was 89.
Again, quite a early days SID tune, really, really operatic. Yeah, as you say, it could be quite easily fitted to start like an Alien film or something like that. Really, really impressive. Could you get in-game music in the game?
Oh yeah, there was in-game music as well. I'm pretty sure Hendrix did all of the music for the 64 version. I think on the Amiga one, Hülsbeck definitely did the intro. I don't know if he did all of the in-game music. I know he did some. I think the 64 version is the more impressive of the two. I mean, I like the game. I like the Amiga version, but the fact that the 64 has so closely copied the Amiga version in every single department, in fact, it even surpasses it in one way, because in the game, the 64 version has parallax scrolling, which the Amiga version doesn't. So, the only thing the 64 version is missing, it doesn't have the loading jingle between levels, which I do quite like, but the 64 version doesn't have that, but that's the only thing it don't have.
Yeah, one for Panther. See, when the C64 is playing a SID tune, does it actually use a lot of processor power? If it's just using the internal 3 speakers rather than the sort of doing sample shit, does it? I mean, can that tune quite happily play alongside the game itself?
Yeah. It depends how much space they've got. I mean, there's some games that look quite impressive. I mean, there's games that you've got music and sound effects in a lot of the more recent games. They've managed to get more onto 2 channels, and I mean, even though you hate it, the game V, the background noise on that, going with the sound effects and that could easily be a tune, but they've chose spaceship type hums and stuff like that. Seeing as you were talking about that game a minute ago, it's your own fault, Alan.
Here's the thing, I don't actually hate it. To be fair, Lukozer will clarify that. I did actually attempt, because it was a game that cropped up, and was it a game that you really should play that you probably
underappreciated games,
and we had to go away and play each other's games, and I did, in fairness, try to play for 20 minutes, and I simply couldn't get anywhere.
The thing is, you made it so much more difficult for yourself, because I don't know what that website was that you went to, but it made that the opening of the barriers sound far more complicated than it is. It's just a straightforward number puzzle. It's not difficult.
Oh my God, what have I started?
Yeah, on that bombshell, it's back to myself for the last one now. I know we do try and stick to original pieces, but I hope you don't mind me including this one. Now, the guy, I'm not really familiar with him, but I'm sure you two know him, Richard Bayless.
Yeah.
You know him. I only had 931 of his tunes to pick from. 931 SID tunes, and I spent about half an hour just playing 10 seconds each one, and I could have picked any one of these ones, seriously. but I've gone for a cover version. It's Oxygen Part 6. I just thought this was really impressive. So this is Richard Bayliss' take on Oxygen Part 6. And let's go. Yeah, I know it's a cover version, and there's probably I mean, Oxygen's probably the most covered album on SID tunes ever, but I just thought that was a really, really nice version, quite a meaty kind of version.
Although it was Oxygen 4.
Yeah, I was going to say it's Oxygen Part 4, not Part 6.
it?
When,
Oh,
when
well.
you introduced it, I thought, oh, this is all right, because Part 6 is actually my favourite track from the Oxygen album. I was thinking, oh, it's interesting. I'd never heard an Oxygen 6 cover from on a 64, and I still haven't.
Richard, if you're watching this, get your back sorted out now. What the hell?
Well, when you first said it was Richard Bayliss, I was thinking, oh no, it's not fucking Algol, is it?
But what did you make it, Panther?
I quite like Richard's stuff. I'm surprised he uses a lot of ARPs, like arpeggios, and there wasn't a lot of that in that. But what Richard is really good at is the sort of dance beat sound. He's really got that down really well. You know, it sounds like a dance beat rather than a computer. And yeah, he's done so many. I think he's he makes David Whittaker look like a beginner with the amount of tunes he's done. There's a lot of modern games that he's done music on, a lot of demos, a lot of stuff, all the way from shoot 'em up construction kit stuff, not necessarily the rubbish one that we've been mentioning. Not that there's anything wrong with the music on that. That was the only thing that was
the
good
music's
about
the
it.
one good thing about it. Yeah.
I don't actually know Richard. I have spoke to him. He's in a few groups that I'm in on Facebook. But I'm pretty sure he was one of the first people to knock out a SID tune on the C64, the full size
really?
one,
Yeah,
using one of the I don't know if it was like whether he was using SID Wizard or the Goat Cutter or whatever it's called, or Cheese Cutter. But I'm pretty sure he did one of the first ones that I know of on that machine.
I was to say, I think it lacked the subtlety of the original version, but I don't know if that was ever the plan. It doesn't sound like it, because it lacks it so much. I would imagine it probably was never the intention.
Yeah, well, I mean, the original doesn't have a dance beat on it, does it?
No,
So,
no.
He's put his own spin on it.
Mm.
You know, most of the notes were right. You know, I could tell it was straight
exactly.
away.
It instantly recognisable as Oxygen Part 4. But so
Like I said, I'm sure that, I mean, the ones I listen to, you know, I'm sure that he's got absolutely stacks of impressive stuff. There's a absolutely ton of stuff to pick from. So anyway, guys, listen, that's it's 2:52 on this, but by the time we edit it, it's going to be about 2:10, I think it is. So that wraps up SID show number 3. I think there's probably going to be a demand for a 4th one. Now, I was talking to the lads about, I think it might have just been Panther actually, I was talking to about the possibility, how feasible would it be to do one of these live? How would that work? Do you think? I don't know. Technically, from a technical point of view?
We're going to get a lot of people shouting, they want this, they want that, they want this, they want that, and then you're going to have, is it Milestar counting down time and...
You leave Milestar out of that. He's my clock.
I'm only joking.
He tells me when I've hit so many viewers and how long I've been... He's in a bloody stream before I've even gone live with the damn thing. I'm sure he sits here just waiting for a stream to start.
I mean, we could probably do it like this, but the recording afterwards would probably be a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, unless of course what we could possibly do is I could put out a little shout. We could maybe put a shout out in this thing at the bottom of the comments, and if maybe the first 20 people to come up with tunes, we can say, right, we'll pick them, and that'll be new tunes for us to listen to, and then you can go away with the list and do your magic.
Well, as long as they're tunes we haven't done already.
Yeah,
in the previous show, so be warned if you put that in the comments. Like if you choose like Yeah Kung Fu, well, we done that last time, so unlucky.
We could maybe do that, and that way we would maybe get introduced to music that we've never heard as well. So that's one to think about. Another thing I was just thinking, how feasible would it be for you to get one of your musician buddies onto the stream? Do you think that would? I don't know.
Well, I can ask.
just to talk. It'd be interesting. You know, it'd be nice to have something like that on, just to kind of, you know, even if we're just featuring their music. You know.
Well, I was going to say actually, if you're going to do something like that, then we would need to not no forced or anything, but it would need to be one where it is featuring just their music alone,
or ones they were inspired by, or something like that.
Yeah. So rather than say to you, well, anyway, Martin, it's fantastic to have Martin Galway in the show. So anyway, my favourite SID is a Rob Hubbard plaque.
Yeah.
We can't do that. Yeah. But anyway, that's something to think about. But most importantly, guys, go and put your comments down below. If you want to see us back for a fourth run, then please let us know.
We're coming back whether they want it or not.
Yeah, we're going to do it anyway, because we, most importantly, as we always say, if we don't enjoy doing the videos, then you're not going to get to see anything, because you've got to enjoy it. And I always have an absolute hoot when I'm talking to you guys. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
Absolutely.
So anyway, it's almost bedtime, so we're going to call this video to a close. Just want to finally thanks everybody for actually taking time to watch it. And again, if you've watched the end of the video, I need you to say water bottle, and we know you've watched it. Fantastic. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and thanks for taking part, guys. See you soon.